Thank you very much, Leisha, for giving me the opportunity to speak at this event yet again. I just want to say, though, that the views and opinions expressed by me are definitely mine, and they may not necessarily represent the views of the Women's Coalition, so I just want to make that clear. The other thing I want to say is that my address will be divided in two parts. Part one relates to my own views and opinions about what's happening. The second part relates to important information and questions that have been given to me by someone who's present in this room, and I think they're very much worthy of your consideration, and I will introduce that person in due course. So, the last time I was at this event, I spoke about the fact that Pulse, which is the official recording of crime system used by An Garda Síochána, was not being utilised to record ethnicity and nationality, thus ensuring that the CSO, which is the Central Statistics Office, would not be in a position to record any data to compile statistics on immigrant crime. This is a very basic requirement for any criminal justice system to accurately record the details of suspected offenders. Now, if we don't have this information, how can we have crime prevention measures and procedures in place to protect and safeguard the Irish people? How can we have accurate data and statistics on the commission of crimes in Ireland? The answer is we cannot. Now, I called at that time on the Garda Commissioner and the Minister for Justice to rectify the situation, which could have been easily done in order to provide the transparency and accuracy necessary to have this accountability within our criminal justice system. Nothing, of course, has been done since that time. The media, as a general rule, apart from Gript and the Irish Inquiry and a few others, but I do see that the Irish Times are here today, and I'm delighted, and I want to welcome the Irish Times and all the other journalists who are here. It's wonderful to have you here, and thank you for being here. But as a general rule, up until now, I would have said that the mainstream media were not listening. The politicians are certainly not listening. The government is not listening, and the Minister for Justice is not listening, and the Garda Commissioner is not listening. So the bottom line is that there is no political will to know the truth about what is taking place on our streets on a daily basis. And if it wasn't for the intrepid work of amazing digital warriors like Suzanne Delaney and others, the Irish people would be left completely in the dark about what is happening in their country. So I would have said that, you know, there is an issue with mainstream media, and there is a concern that they have been captured because they are funded by the government. But obviously there's a breakthrough today. I welcome that breakthrough. You're most welcome here, and I hope this is just the beginning of a relationship that you have with the Women's Coalition, and indeed all those who are voicing their concerns about what this government are doing. So thank you for being here for that. So the immigration crisis in Ireland is manufactured and orchestrated, and the Irish government are part of this deception. Their official project to populate the island north and south with both legal and illegal migrants, to have in place 8 million people by 2040, is well known. It's known as Project Ireland 2040. The collateral damage to the native Irish population of rising crime rates, a housing crisis, damaged social cohesion, homelessness and joblessness, emigration by our young people is of no consequence to them. All of this has been done without consultation with the people of Ireland, and has been done against the will of the people of Ireland. There has never been a national debate about immigration, nor is it allowed, even though it is a very significant issue with which a lot of Irish people are very concerned. The Irish government, for example, are not applying the law on the Immigration Act. We now have open borders. They signed up to the EU Asylum and Migration Pact, notwithstanding the warnings given by myself and others that we have handed our sovereignty over now in the area of immigration to unelected bureaucrats in Brussels. A country that has no control of its borders is no longer sovereign. And a few deportations for optics, as has happened in recent months, is too little, too late, and will make no appreciable difference. Recent voting patterns in the EU Parliament clearly demonstrate the real attitude of our politicians to this issue. And of course, recent High Court decisions have confirmed the significance of EU law and its role in determining Irish policy in this area, once again to the detriment of the Irish people, who it seems, unlike asylum applicants, have no rights when it comes to their own homelessness situation. So all of the above, combined with recent revelations from a respected whistleblower that I was involved with, that there is no state body in the country that is either willing or able to investigate the commission of serious and egregious crimes by elected and unelected officials at governance level during the COVID era, which in itself is a serious indictment of the state of our country. And this, combined with the fact that it is the stated intention of this government to bring in digital ID, followed by central bank digital currencies, which are programmable currencies, which will in time inevitably lead to the erosion of the three pillars of our society: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, leads me to the inevitable conclusion that we are now no longer living in a functioning democracy. And I know many people share that view. It is my genuine wish that the people of Ireland wake up to this sooner rather than later, before we are completely replaced as a people by the disastrous policies of this government and previous governments. So that concludes my own views in relation to the matter now. So I'll proceed to part two. Now I would like to introduce some relevant concepts from my good friend David Maloney, who's in the room with us today, who hails from County Tipperary. He is a writer and a videographer, and he has been a very active reporter and recorder of relevant events pertaining to immigration matters, as indicated in his various posts on X. David, put your hand up so people can see there. He's available for interview if anybody would like to interview him. He is also a retired project manager and has worked extensively in the Middle East, which has given him considerable and useful insights, in particular into how Muslim and Muslim men behave. Now, David is with us today, and as I said, he's available if anybody wants to interview him. Now, he has raised some very serious issues which follow on from a lot of the issues that have been raised by the speakers before me. And these are issues that require to be dealt with by the Irish authorities and answers given to the Irish people about them. And in particular, he's raised a concern about A, that it's well documented that war criminals use asylum as a means to escape the war crimes they have committed, including rape, torture, child abuse, and willful killings. What procedures or screenings are in place within Ireland to determine if any of the asylum seekers who arrived on our shores, especially without papers or identity documents, are in fact war criminals, fleeing their crimes? What about those who are here already and have received their citizenship, or who received the benefit of Helen McEntee's amnesty, or indeed the current deportees who are negotiating their own amnesty now with the Department of Justice? What measures are in place to determine who they are and where exactly have they come from? Another issue he has brought to my attention, which the Irish people deserve to know about, are the, for example, lifetime costs to the Irish taxpayer of a non-working settled asylum seeker. For an unemployed single individual, it is over €660,000, and for a two-child family, it reaches over 1 million. Now, Ciara Connolly did an excellent analysis on our X post yesterday and provided figures for the Puska family, one of whose members murdered beautiful Aisling Murphy. She estimated that that family alone have cost the Irish taxpayer €10 million in social welfare benefits, legal fees, prison accommodation, and other benefits since their arrival. I want you all to let that sink in. Just one family. The immigration system is out of control and has been for a long time. Now, questions that David has raised for the department regarding the vetting system of asylum seekers and reporting suspects, and I think these are questions that deserve answers. The first one is, how does the department verify the identities and backgrounds of individuals who apply for asylum, particularly in cases where documentation may be limited, in order to ensure that persons involved in serious crimes, including brutal war crimes, are identified and appropriately handled? 2, What procedures are in place to assess the mental health needs of asylum seekers who may have experienced conflict or post-traumatic stress disorder that can make them violent and or aggressive? And how does the department ensure that appropriate supports and safeguards are provided where necessary? 3, what processes are used to verify the age of individuals who claim to be minors? And how does the department ensure that age-appropriate placements and safeguarding measures are maintained, particularly in educational settings where they may end up as 12-year-old girls, and also in care settings? You may all recall, and I think it was alluded to already or spoken about by Suzanne, the brutal killing of a young Ukrainian minor sent by his parents to be safe in Ireland, who was brutally murdered by a man posing as a minor. Of the 90% asylum seekers who arrive from the UK, what background checks are conducted, and do these include checks against relevant UK criminal databases, including the Sex Offenders Register? What checks have been done in light of the Nigerian ex-ambassador Mandu Ikong Omagomi? She was a Nigerian ambassador to Ireland, warning, and I quote from her, "Let me tell you one thing, among the asylum seekers, you have criminals who escaped from prisons." End of quote. Are asylum seekers who come from countries that are at war with each other, for example, Afghanistan and Pakistan, are they segregated to ensure the safety of each? Are foreigners that were convicted in Ireland for violent and sexual crimes allowed to reside in communities, even those with suspended sentences? When foreigners are suspects in violent crimes, is there no description release? When a violent crime happens and the suspect is still free, every second matters. The public has a right to know who they should be watching for, and law enforcement has a duty to provide clear, useful descriptions that can help prevent further harm. Releasing suspect information is not about politics or sensitivity, it is about safety. If a suspect is a foreign national, that fact, when relevant and accurate, should not be withheld if it helps people stay alert and avoid danger. The most important responsibility of law enforcement is to protect lives. When a violent offender is at large, people in the area may unknowingly cross paths with someone dangerous. A clear description gives people the chance to protect themselves, avoid certain situations, and report anything suspicious. Without this information, the public is left vulnerable. A description is not a judgment, it is a warning. The goal is simple: reduce the risk and stop the offender before someone else is hurt. Public awareness also plays a powerful role in catching criminals, and the police and Gardaí cannot be everywhere, but the public can be thousands of extra eyes and ears. Many arrests happen because ordinary people recognise a suspect from a released description and come forward. The more accurate and complete the information, the greater the chance someone will identify the person. When authorities share what they know, it shows they are acting in the public interest. When they withhold information, it can create fear, rumours and suspicion, and people may begin to wonder what else is being hidden and why. So clear communication is important. Descriptions must be factual and specific. Simply calling someone a foreigner is not enough and can unfairly cast suspicion on innocent people. The focus should always be on identifiable facts that help locate a specific individual, not on creating fear towards entire groups. Crime is committed by individuals, not nationalities. So in the end, releasing accurate suspect description is a basic and necessary part of protecting the public. It helps people stay alert, helps Gardaí to solve crimes faster, and helps prevent further victims. Safety depends on awareness. Awareness depends on information. When someone dangerous is at large, the public deserve clear facts, not silence. And the Irish people deserve answers. Thank you, David, for those questions and insights. So he's asked me to bring that to your attention. I trust you found them useful, and so thank you very much for your consideration.